Welcome, crypto fam, to the number one daily Bitcoin pod. Bitcoin is correcting. Another great BTFD opportunity in today's show. I'll be breaking down the latest Bitcoin technical analysis. We'll also be discussing breaking news. Thailand city, Phuket, to pilot Bitcoin and crypto payments for tourists. Nothing stops the Biddy train. Amen. We'll also be discussing U.S. Fed money printing can spur Bitcoin rally here in Q1 of 2025, according to Arthur Hayes Just Blaze. We'll also be discussing Bitfinex derivatives to move to El Salvador after securing local crypto license. And you already know yours truly will be in El Salvador in less than 48 hours. Can't wait to be Bitcoin country bound. We'll also be discussing nation-state Bitcoin adoption to drive crypto growth this year in 2025, according to the latest from Fidelity. Also breaking news, Bhutan's GMC adopts Bitcoin and other digital assets and city strategic reserves. We'll also be discussing Max Keiser suggests U.S. debt crisis resolution via the Bitcoin standard. Also goes on to predict Bitcoin soaring to it went from 220,000 to now 2.2 million in play. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market. All this plus so much more in today's show. If you're new to the channel, very important to smash the likes, subscribe, then ring that bell. Turn on all notifications to receive daily premium crypto newsletters 7 days a week, just like this. Today is pod episode 1872. I'm your host, JV. It's January 8th, 2025. And within 48 hours, I'll be in Bitcoin country, practicing the Bukele-nomics. Can't wait. So you already know. We got a lot to share with you. Market is correcting. Let's kick it off with our market watch. We just fell below 94,000. You can see Bitcoin down 2.6% on the day. Ether correcting. The only top crypto in the green is really XRP, as alts are bleeding currently. And checking out CoinMarketCap.com. The current crypto market cap sits at 3.29 trillion. The Bitcoin market cap back on the decline at 1.85 trillion. We got 174 billion worth of the volume for the past 24 hours, with the Bitcoin dominance at 56.7%, Ether dominance on the decline all the way down to 12%. Checking out top 100 crypto gainers past 24 hours. Not much, only a handful even in the green, as the majority of the alts are bleeding and in the red. Checking out the crypto bubbles, we'll get more of a visual perspective. Let's start on the daily, and as you can see, 95% of the market correcting and in the red. Zooming out on the monthly, Rec City, many of your favorite alts down 10, 20, 30 plus percent. Only a handful, including Fartcoin, actually in the green. And checking out the crypto green and fair index, today we're 70 in greed. Yesterday was a 78. Remember, the higher that number goes, the more likely of a pullback. And lo and behold, after hitting extreme greed, we're correcting some and we're back in greed. And checking out the time chain calendar, we currently have 171,635 blocks until the halving of 2028. We're currently on block number 878,365. You currently exchange one fiat monopoly dollar for 1,052 sats. To stack the sats, put down the gats, and pick up some exclusive Bitcoin caps from Sergio at bitcoincaps.net. Bitcoin hourly relative strength index falls to the most oversold since the 60,000 Biddy price. That's right, Bitcoin tanking today had a serious implication for the low time frame RSI. On the hourly chart, the RSI, which is the relative strength index, fell from local highs of 81 on Jan 6 to 16 a day later. That's unheard of here. Such a rapid decline is very rare, taking Bitcoin from overbought to oversold within 24 hours. The last time the index measured so low, Bitcoin was trading all the way back at 60 Gs. The RSI measured the trend strength and contains three key levels for the observers: the 30 oversold boundary, the 50 midpoint, and the 70 overbought threshold. When the price crosses these levels, depending upon the direction, traders can make inferences about the future of a given uptrend or downtrend. During the bull, Bitcoin regularly spends extended periods in overbought territory, as pointed out by the analysts. And with the latest come down, traders are quickly suggesting the Bitcoin price was due for an upward relief bounce in the face of the RSI overaction or overreaction, quoting Bitcoin Munger, no relation to Charlie Munger there. 1 hour Bitcoin RSI is at 16 on the 4 hour, almost completely reset. And despite making new local lows January 8th, the RSI contrasted with the spot price downtrend, a deviation that classically precedes the price relief, quoting David Cox. Bitcoin has reached the next RSI 5 oversold point on the 6 hour chart, as outlined right here. And again, I'll be pulling up the live charts here in a moment. And as reported, bearish Bitcoin price targets remain in circulation in the run-up for the inauguration of the U.S. presidential-elect. Our new POTUS, the Trumpster, which is officially Jan 20th, 12 days out, less than 2 weeks, fam. These include a return to the range lows at or just below 90 Gs, along with deeper corrections potentially to 80,000 or lower. But let me know your thoughts. Do you think we'll correct that low, or do you think we'll bounce right back in no time like we have witnessed every correction? Typically 24 hours, we're back where we left off. You guys let me know. And also, breaking news, Bitcoin wallet developer Exodus, which I highly recommend for a mobile wallet. It's one of the best options out there, officially goes live on the New York Stock Exchange. Exodus, let's go. How many of you have ever used the Exodus mobile wallet? Do let me know. I think it's for computers as well, but from my understanding, it's the best option for a mobile wallet. Your best option is going to be cold storage, not a wallet on your device. But nonetheless, if you're traveling, for example, Bitcoin country, and you want to spend some sats, Exodus is a great choice. You got Exodus, you got the Strike wallet, that's Jack Mallers' company, and I would say those two are the best from the research I have done. So that's kind of cool. And it's a free wallet to use, of course. You just download the app. It's called Exodus. I would encourage you guys to check it out and use it accordingly. And other breaking news, Thailand city Phuket. I've been there when I went on my 30-day Thailand vacay way back. I spent a few days out there. They're now going to pilot Bitcoin and crypto payments for tourists. Bring it. Let's go. One of my favorite cities in the world is actually Thailand. I had a great experience out there. Can't wait to revisit, especially if they're going to be demoing Bitcoin payments for the tourist. Let's go. And pulling up some of the live charts. Give me a second, family. And again, welcome everyone joining the live stream. Bitcoin's correcting. We broke 94. We're in the 93 range. And I'm going to give you a little analysis based upon the live charts right here. Here's the 1 hour. We do have two targets in play. The red target sits at 110.3 and the green target sits at 108.5. Zooming out from the 1 hour, take a look at the 4 hour. 4 hour says it's going up forever, Laura. We also have similar targets on the 4 hour, 110.4 as well as 108.5. And zooming out from the 4 hour, we'll check out the 1 day chart. And the 1 day chart shows a rising wedge and very similar targets, 110 as well in play. Zooming out from the daily, we check out the weekly. And the weekly chart also still has the sexy cup and handle target in play at 124,000. Let me know when you feel we'll likely enter that, as well as price discovery, which is currently 108.3. And zooming out from the weekly, check out the monthly real quick. And as you can see, that Moonvember candle is the biggest one we have ever seen in Bitcoin history since the inception of the Genesis block on the monthly. And obviously for December was a tiny itty bitty red candle close. And thus far, January is yet to be determined, as we're only 1 week deep into the new year here in Q1 of 2025. But there you have it, crypto fam. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your predictions. And where do you feel we're likely to head next? Holla at your boy. Q1 Bitcoin price rally. Yes, please. U.S. Fed money printing can spur the Bitcoin rally we've been awaiting. That's right. Bitcoin can benefit from more than $612 billion in new liquidity during the first quarter of the year, potentially mitigating investor concerns over delayed crypto regulations in the USA. Bitcoin obviously corrected today. It's currently in the 93 range, and just the other day it was 102.8, just to show you the extreme volatility, which is to be expected. And while President Trump's upcoming inauguration is 12 days out, on the 20th, it's seen as a positive for the crypto industry. Delays in implementing crypto regulations could dampen investor sentiment and drive down the valuations. However, the addition of $612 billion in new liquidity to the U.S. Treasury by March 2025 may counterbalance any regulatory disappointment, according to Arthur Hayes, Just Blaze, quoting him from his recent blog post yesterday. A letdown by Team Trump on his proposed pro-crypto, pro-business legislation can be covered by an extremely positive dollar liquidity environment, an increase of up to $612 billion in the first quarter. And according to Just Blaze, money printing will accelerate after Trump's inauguration, leading to the local top for Bitcoin in March before the start of a potential correction. Let me know if you agree, disagree. Hayes says the correction will likely be driven by disappointment around lagging crypto policy from the Trump admin. Quoting him here, the market will instantly wake up to the reality that Trump has at best 1 year to enact any policy changes on or around January 20th. This realization will lead to a vicious sell-off in crypto and other Trump 2.0 equity trades. Despite a potential regulatory disappointment, analysts remain optimistic about Bitcoin price trajectory, with some expecting the cycle top above 150 Gs. I'd say that's a very modest target, driven by a predicted 20 trillion increase in the global money supply, which can attract 2 trillion of investment into the Biddy. Now, considering we're currently less than a 2 trillion market cap as far as the Bitcoin market cap is concerned, we'd more than double from where we're at. Now, the recent Bitcoin correction has been attributed to reduced institutional investor activity during the holiday season. Institutional investors typically redeploy capital at the beginning of the new year. The institutional liquidity boost could help Bitcoin surpass 100,000 before Trump's inauguration, Jan 20th, according to Binance's research. Quoting them here. While it is possible for Bitcoin to recapture 100,000 ahead of the Trump inauguration on expectations of positive crypto regulation, the market will need to see continued supportive conditions to maintain such levels. Quoting the research from Binance. Sustaining these levels over the long term will depend on the various factors, including the actual implementation of the crypto regulations and the Federal Reserve policy path for the year. Institutional Bitcoin hodlers remain optimistic ahead of the Trump inauguration. In fact, Jan 7th, New York Stock Exchange listed KULR Tech predicted Bitcoin would breach 200 Gs this year after the firm just bought the dip at $97,000. So there you go, crypto bros. Let's discuss El Salvador. Considering less than 48 hours, I'm going to be there for the big Max and Stacy Invitational, and excited to meet Chandy in Bitcoin country. So excited. So yeah, headline here reads, Bitfinex derivatives to move to El Salvador after securing the local crypto license. Bitcoin country. The derivatives arm of the crypto exchange Bitfinex has secured a digital asset service provider license to operate in El Salvador, thy savior. In a January 7th statement shared, Bitfinex derivatives said with the approval of this license, it can relocate from Seychelles to the Central American nation. Let's go. Quoting their CEO of Tether, who also is head of Bitfinex, Chief Technology Officer. This critical transition represents a defining moment for the Bitfinex derivatives and highlights El Salvador's rise as a global financial hub. The firm lauded El Salvador's continued efforts in developing new crypto frameworks, saying the move aligned with its broader goals to deliver financial services in the region. El Salvador has been rapidly pushing through the new digital asset regulations in a bid to transform the nation into the crypto hub. After the country passed its digital asset security laws in January of 2023, Bitfinex secured the local DASP license in April. And El Salvador's licensing regime allows companies to tokenize their funds, debt, equity, and real estate, simplifying the process of raising capital for companies to issue tokens, fund investments in projects, and offer returns to the investors. On November 19, 2024, the firm debuted a tokenized public offering of U.S. Treasury bills under El Salvador's legal framework. That's right, July of 2024, Bitfinex Securities had to refund investors who participated in a Hilton hotel tokenization effort after failing to raise a minimum of $500,000 required to continue the venture. That's kind of shocking. They couldn't raise a mere 500,000. What is that? 5 Bitcoin? The project, which marked the first public offering of digital debt assets in El Salvador, only mustered 342,000 from investors before the first deadline, barely 5% of the 6 million looking to raise. The funds were intended to finance the construction of the Hampton by Hilton Hotel, sized at 4,500 square meters across 5 levels with 80 rooms, a restaurant, work area, swimming pool, gym, and garden. To own a slice of the hotel, investors had to make a minimum of $1,000 investment. I'd like to own a slice of the hotel for $1,000. Count me in. Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want a piece of that pie? But nonetheless, fam, very interesting. Shout out Bitfinex, shout out Bitcoin Country. And again, I'll be there in 2 days. Next story of the day. We discussed the latest with Bitfinex and El Salvador, Bitcoin Country. Now let's discuss the nation-state Bitcoin adoption to drive the crypto growth this year in 2025, according to the major asset management giant, Fidelity. That's right. Countries are expecting to add the BIDI into the national strategic reserves this year, kicking off significant growth in the crypto market. Quoting them here, we anticipate more nation states, central banks, sovereign wealth funds, and government treasuries will look to establish strategic Bitcoin positions. That's right. And this is according to the Fidelity digital asset research analyst Matt Hogan in the firm's Jan 7th paper titled 2025 Look Ahead. He added that these entities may take notice of the playbook employed by Bhutan and El Salvador and the substantial returns they have been able to glean from such positions in a relatively short amount of time. He said that not making any Bitcoin allocation could become more of a risk to nations than making one due to the challenges such as debilitating inflation, currency debasement, and increasing crushing fiscal deficits. If the U.S. goes ahead with a Bitcoin strategic reserve, it's likely the nation states would begin accumulating in secret. No nation has an incentive to announce these plans, as doing so could influence more buyers and drive up the price. Precisely. Just like BlackRock and everyone's incentivized who's stacking mad sats right now to buy it on the low. So they're loving these price corrections. And same with the nation states, sovereign wealth funds, pension funds. Whenever you make a public announcement, it's just going to drive more game theory as the global hash wars continue around the globe. Now, Hogan predicted digital assets, structured and managed products would go mainstream this year, adding it was difficult to overstate the success of the spot Bitcoin ETFs. Quoting him here, with the initial success of these products, it would not be unreasonable to expect this year to bring about more structured, passive, and actively managed digital asset products to the world of TradFi. Hogan also predicted the tokenization will be the killer app of this year, with on-chain value doubling from 14 billion to 30 billion by the end of the year. Quoting him here, tokenization is often seen as a buzzword in the world of the blockchain tech, but its potential in financial services is beyond the beginning to be realized. The Fidelity researchers said investors should prepare for acceleration with increased adoption, development, interest, and demand for the digital assets. Then they added, investors are not too late to join the digital asset revolution and believe we may be entering the dawn of a new era for the digital assets, once poised to span multiple years, if not decades. So there you have it, crypto bros. Let me know if you agree, disagree with Bitwise in their latest report. Next story, we discussed the nation state adoption. Next, we're going to discuss the Kingdom of Bhutan and their Bitcoin adoption. Then we'll discuss the latest from the high priest of Bitcoin, Max Keiser, which I will be kicking it with him at the Max and Stacy Invitational in 48 hours. I cannot wait. But yeah, here's the latest from Bhutan, and then we'll dive into some live Q&A and go from there, fam. Bhutan's GMC adopts Bitcoin and other digital assets in the city's strategic reserves. Even Michael Saylor tweeted earlier today, Bhutan pioneers adoption of the Bitcoin strategic reserve and digital asset framework. Let's go, Bhutan. That's the type of kingdom I like. That's where the Bitcoin Camelot is. And remember, Bitcoin Camelot is not just a city. This is just as pretty. This is pretty amazing. Bhutan's new special administration region, Gelaphu, Mindfulness City, let's just call it GMC, shall we, has announced it will acknowledge digital assets like the BIDI, Ether, and BNB as part of the strategic reserves. There you go. This will make the region one of the first jurisdictions to hold digital assets as part of the strategic reserve formally. The GMC strategic reserves now include digital assets, an extension of the jurisdiction's Bitcoin mining activities, and will improve the SAR's economic resilience. GMC plans to identify digital assets with high market capitalizations and high liquidity for strategic reserves to ensure easy buying and selling with little effect on the prices. Furthermore, the GMC will seek to identify digital assets issued on more developed secure blockchains that monitor the on-chain transactions. Sarah Song, head of business development of BNB Chain, remarked on the significance of this development. This inclusion of BNB in Bhutan's strategic reserve is validation of the blockchain's potential on a macroeconomic level and BNB's value within the ecosystem. It highlights the growing confidence of institutions and governments in digital assets as part of their long-term strategic frameworks. This statement comes after the GMC Law number 1 of last year was passed December of 2024, which established the legal framework for businesses looking to provide financial services involving digital assets in GMC. In addition to acknowledging digital assets like the Biddy, Ethereum, and Binance Coin as part of GMC's strategic reserve, implementing this law aims to support the expansion of GMC's digital asset ecosystem. So there you go, Kingdom of Bhutan for the win. Now for our featured story of the day. The high priest of Bitcoin, Max Keiser, suggests the U.S. debt crisis resolution via a Bitcoin standard. And also I'm going to be reiterating his newest 2.2 million Bitcoin price prediction. So let's break this baby down and shout out to the high priest. I'm extremely excited and honored to be linking up with Max and Stacy at the Max and Stacy Invitational in less than 48 hours. I will be in El Salvador for my first time in Bitcoin country, kicking it. So looking forward to that. So let's start right here. This is a new published article. As you can see, financial analyst Max Keiser sparked a debate with his analysis of the U.S. economic situation. I guess we'll start here with the actual tweet, which was in response to a tweet where someone wrote, the 1920s saw the greatest stock rally ever, followed by the worst crash in history. Today's market is following a similar footpath. And Max shared, Trump's agenda is radical transparency, and this means revealing that the U.S. is more than $60 trillion in debt. Flipping to a Bitcoin standard is imperative, but getting there from here means defaulting on U.S. treasuries. In my opinion, what do you think? Let me know your thoughts. And shout out Hillbilly Will. 60 trillion, it's well over 150 trillion with the unfunded liabilities. So most likely the debt is a lot higher than we even anticipate as the bottom line. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on that. And I want to get to the 2.2 million prediction. As you know, Max has been calling for 220,000 in play for years. And more recently, he 10x'd his prediction. And so let's break this one down for you. Max, as you know from the Keiser report, one of the first to publicly start talking about and promoting Bitcoin back when it was like 25 cents alongside Stacy Herbert. He believes Bitcoin is likely to soar to as high as 2.2 million in the long term, and long term for Bitcoin is within 1 to 2 years, just FYI, which would ultimately mean this particular cycle. When people say short term in crypto, I like to believe short term, maybe 1 to 3 months, maybe even as much as 1 to 6 months in my opinion, but let me know how you guys translate that. So yeah, I mean, you already know El Salvador is the first country to make Bitcoin a legal tender. This was back in 2021, a year after Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy was the first publicly traded company to put the Bitcoin on the balance sheet. Max commented on a tweet from El Salvador's commitment to continue buying and utilizing Bitcoin in its economy. As you know, they're purchasing, or they have been purchasing, at least 1 Bitcoin per day, and some days now they're purchasing as much as 11, Bitcoins per day. Their tweet that Max shared says the UAE, which is the United Arab Emirates, supposedly holds 40 billion worth of Bitcoin, even though there has been no official confirmation. This is something he has been talking about, which I have been covering right here on the pod for a very long time. We've been talking about the sovereign wealth funds, potentially, Qatar. We've been talking about the UAE. There was recently an event there in Abu Dhabi. We had Trump's son, Eric Trump, talking about speculation of all the bullishness his father is going to be ushering in when he gets inaugurated here in a couple of weeks. So a lot of bullishness across the boards. Now, all or many major countries start the bidding. It's presuming Keiser expects the price of Bitcoin to skyrocket over the coming 12 to 24 months if countries around the world begin accumulating Bitcoin at actively, which we're all pretty confident they're doing, just more so behind the scenes. He then thanked Max Keiser for the pleasure of following him, I guess referring to this gentleman here. So yeah, Max Keiser responded to this tweet. This guy wrote, El Salvador is obviously committed and pursuing this path, but most other countries have not. The UAE supposedly has 40 billion of Bitcoin, but I haven't seen official confirmation. If all or many major countries start bidding, what would you expect this to do to the price of Bitcoin? And Max responded, ultimately retweeting, writing 2.2 million per coin. That's if the global hash wars goes into play, as many have been predicting, including Max, who coined the term himself. So let me know your thoughts. Max responded in that case, 2.2 million per biddy, which is 10x his previous prediction of $220,000. And then, of course, Trump adopting the Bitcoin strategic reserve would be extremely bullish, as many other nations would most likely follow in his footsteps. But the million-dollar question becomes, will Trump follow through with those plans? And I actually will show you, or actually play a little clip of Trump when he spoke at the Nashville Bitcoin conference before he was reelected via, the November 5th election. And here's what Trump had to say when he was on stage to Bitcoiners across the world at the largest Bitcoin conference.
This afternoon, I'm laying out my plan to ensure that the United States will be the crypto capital of the planet and the Bitcoin superpower of the world, and we'll get it done.
Bitcoin superpower of the world for the United States, fam. He says we'll get her done.
If crypto is going to define the future, I want to be mined, minted, and made in the USA. It's going to be. It's not going to be made anywhere else. And if Bitcoin is going to the moon,
it's going to the moon, he says.
As we say, it's going to the moon.
I like the cadence in his voice when he says it. It's like, let's go into the moon.
America to be the nation that leads the way, and that's what's going to happen. I pledge to.
Obviously, the United States of America does lead a lot of the world, so that's what he's talking about there.
To the Bitcoin community, that the day I take the oath of office, Joe Biden, Kamala
Harris's war on crypto is over.
Harris's anti-crypto crusade will be over. It will end. It'll be done. It'll be done.
Finito, that is.
On day one, I will fire Gary Gensler and appoint a new...
Gary, if you're still lurking, go home and get your shine box, Gary.
SEC chairman.
Nippinator's coming for you, Gary. But anyways, let me know your thoughts with some of those predictions, including the latest from Max Keiser. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think the Trumpster will actually adopt a strategic Bitcoin reserve for the United States of America? Do you think that bill will pass and get signed into action, what Cynthia Lummis has proposed, which is ultimately to purchase 1 million Bitcoin over the course of the next 5 years, which would ultimately mean the United States of America not only stockpiling the Bitcoin as Trump promised, but also purchasing 200,000+ Bitcoin per year over the course of the next 5 years. And Kennedy, RFK Jr., also gave a very advantageous Bitcoin speech at that event, him proposing 4 million Bitcoin being purchased by the United States. Let me know your thoughts.